Let's start with writing the code. So I'm making a folder structure. Okay. Let's first start with entrance panel and exit panel. It will have a name. So private string name. Okay, great. Let's make exit panel also. Okay, it will also have a name. Great. Let's go ahead with parking spot also. So we have to make parking spot as abstract. So let's make it in a package. Okay, first let's put all the things in here. So let's generate unique ID every time with atomic integer. Okay, int ID is free. And the next one is floor. And the next one is amount. So private and amount. Great. Let's just quickly have constructor. In constructor, what will we get? We'll get floor number and the amount. Yes. So is free would be true. And ID should be x dot increment and get. Let's just quickly have getters and setters for all of them. Now let's create compact extends parking spot mini extends parking spot and large. Great. So we're done with parking spots also. Let's create display board now. Display board in display board, and we have to make it singleton also. So let's just quickly make it singleton. Okay, this is one. Then we have map. So private map of, okay, we haven't declared enum. So let's declare enum. Parking spot enum. First, let's declare enum because otherwise it will show red mark in display board. Compact dot class mini dot class large. It will return large dot class. Then second is it has a class variable. So private class, and we have two parking spot. Next parking spot enum class parking spot. This dot parking spot equals parking spot. Then we have to make a function of getting the parking spots. So public, it will return a class. So class get parking spot, return parking spot. Here our enum is ready, which will directly return us the class. Okay, let's come in display board now. Display board has parking spot enum, comma, integer. And this is free parking spots. Let's quickly declare a constructor, which will be private. So, okay, let's make it private. Okay, initialize map with a empty hash map. So this is one. New hash map. If you do not know what singleton design pattern is, please go ahead and watch logger in the fundamentals. It has in-depth explanation about singleton design pattern. Public display board get instance. If my display board equals null, then display board equals new display board, and we can return display board. Let's make a getter and setter for this free parking spots. We want to have only getter actually. Set we have already done, so setter should not be there. Now let's go ahead and build the main class which we have for parking lot. Let's quickly give it name, private string name, private list of entrance panel. So entrance panel and entrances, private list, exit panel, exits. Then we have display board. So display board, display board. Okay, this let's keep it private as well. Okay. Then we have map of occupied and free parking spots. So map of parking spot enum from a list of parking spot, free parking spots, and same of course private, and same should be for occupied parking spots. Occupied parking spots. Parking lot class was also singleton class, so let's make it singleton, which means private parking lot equals null. Then let's quickly make a constructor. So private parking lot. Let's get the name, string name. So this dot name entrances equals new array list. Okay, same way exits will also be a new array list. Same way display board, since it's singleton, so display board dot get. Oh, sorry, we didn't make it static actually. Private static. We have to make the static also. No, this is static. Okay, yeah, get it. Now this will work. Dot get instance. Now we have it. Next one, free parking, new parking hash map, occupied parking spots equals new hash map. Great. Now let's make get instance function for parking lot. So public static parking lot get instance. If parking lot equals null, then parking lot equals new parking lot. Let's give it name ABC and then return parking lot. Okay, great. Let's just quickly make getters and setters for all the data members that we have. Okay, we have it now. What else is left? Okay, let's move to vehicle. Let's create vehicle. Again, vehicle is also an abstract class. So let's make a new package vehicle that will have all the vehicles. So vehicle private, we want to give it a unique ID. Of course, it will have a unique ID every time. For now, let's give it ID by our own. Let's not feed in every time using, again, atomic integer. I know this is wrong. We should get it in the constructor, but to keep it simple, not because we have to test it also in the main, then every time passing in the ID would be a bit hassle. So we are giving it unique ID every time. So private int ID, it will have parking spot enum also. So private parking spot enum, parking spot enum. Great. Let's just quickly make constructor. And the ID would be equals x dot increment and get. Great. Let's just quickly make getters and setters for all of them. Okay. Here we have getters and setters. Let's quickly make all the types of vehicles that we have. Motor, bike. This will extend vehicle. Okay, which type of parking spot enum do we want? We want mini, so parking spot enum dot mini. We have to pass. Same ways, let's make it for car. Extends vehicle. For car, we know that enum is compact, large. Oh, sorry, not large. Truck, actually. Vehicle. Here we want to pass in not enum dot large. Okay, cool. So we have it for vehicle also. Let's now make accounts. Again, account is also an abstract class. So let's make a package. Accounts. Okay. Account. This will have name, email, and password. So private string name, private string email and private string password. Let's just quickly make constructor. Okay, I'm leaving constructors and getters and setters for now. I believe you guys can make it. Okay, then the next one is admin. Okay, this will extend account. It had a parking lot, so private parking lot. Let's give it a hot start, or we can initialize parking lot in the constructor also. If we initialize it here only, then we call it a hot start. Okay, parking lot dot get instance. Same ways, let's make parking attendant also. We do not have parking service as of now, so we are not writing it here. Otherwise, it will show a red mark. Let's go and make parking ticket first, and then let's go to services. Again, let's give it a unique ID using atomic integer. Let's just quickly make constructor. Okay, timestamp would be time.now, local date time.now, and ID would be x.increment and get. Great. Let's just quickly make getters and setters for all of them. Great. We have parking ticket also now. So I think we can comfortably move to the services. Okay, this would be an interface actually. So interface. So it will have a create function. So I'm just writing it down. So parking spot create, parking spot enum, parking spot enum, comma, integer floor. We are done with parking spot service. Let's go to display service now. Display service. Since we are creating an interface, so it will have only methods. So void change. I'm not finding change as the right name. Let's make it to update. Update is a better name, I feel. This will also take parking spot enum, comma, int change. Okay. Then let's have payment service. Okay, great. We have payment service also now. This will have methods to accept different kinds of payments, accept cash, amount, void, accept credit card, int amount, and along with string card number, int CVV. We have payment service also now. So let's move to the main service, which is the parking service. Parking service. This will again have two methods, entry and exit. So at entry, it had a return type of parking ticket. And the next one would be exit, which will take parking ticket. And next is vehicle. Okay, great. We have to make payment method also, right? So let's just quickly make payment method. And of course, we need to have strategies also. So we'll make strategy also. Let's quickly make first payment methods. Let's create a package payment methods. Okay. This will have payment method in it. Let's make it abstract. This will have an abstract function of initiate payment, public abstract boolean initiate payment int amount. Okay. And the payment methods that we have is cash and card. So cash extends payment method. Let's log it maybe, and we can return true here. People can implement however they want to. We are just logging stuff. Let's log that. Okay, we have received the payment. And the other could be credit card. This will also extend payment method. Of course, it will have data members as card number and CVV. So private string card number, private int CVV. Great. Let's have constructor for both of them. Okay, we have constructor also now. Great, we're done with payment methods. Let's hop on to strategy now. Various strategies that we had. We already have it in the class diagram. So I'm just making stuff. Okay. We can name it parking strategy actually. This will have an interface strategy. And this will have a method of find parking spot. So find parking spot. This will return a parking spot. It will take argument as parking spot enum. So parking spot enum. Okay, there it is. There were two different strategies which we had, which is nearest first parking strategy, implement strategy. Okay, we are not implementing it right now. Of course, we will. So I'm just keeping it as it is right now. Of course, we will implement it. I'm just making the classes right now. So farthest first parking strategy implements strategy. So we have it here. Now let's just quickly hop on to implement all the interfaces that we have, or basically have implementations of all these services. Okay, let's start with parking spot only. Parking spot service IMPL implements parking spot service. Great. It will ask us to implement all the methods. Okay, we have it here. Okay, so parking spot equals, so we have parking spot enum, which will return us the parking spot class dot get parking spot dot get constructor, in which I have to pass an integer dot class, okay, dot new instance, and we have to pass in the integer which we have as floor. Let's see why is it showing an issue. Okay, we have to handle exceptions also. Let's surround it with a try catch block. Here it is. Now why is it showing an issue? Okay, we have to cast it to a parking spot. Okay, great. So it's done. Now what was the next step which we had? Now since parking spot is created, we have to add it to our parking lot. So parking lot dot get instance dot get free parking spots dot get parking spot enum dot add, and this would be parking spot. Okay, great. Parking spot is added now. We have to update the display board also, for which we have to call display service. Displays. Okay, we want to have an instance of display service then. So let's have it here. Display service equals new displays. Okay, we haven't made display service IMPL. So let's have display service IMPL also. Display service IMPL implements display service. So now display service IMPL will have an instance of display board also, which we can. So we have an update here. What do we want to update in the display board? We want to update the free spot counts, right? So let's get display board dot get instance dot get free parking spots dot get parking spot enum. So this is the current count, and new count should be current count plus change, and let's update it now. Of course, we'll have to update, replace parking spot enum, comma, new count. Okay, great. We have this update method right here. Display service IMPL. Okay, let's update display also. So display service dot update parking spot enum comma, and the change should be +1. I think we can easily return this parking spot now. So return parking spot. Great. So we have returned. Let's move on to the payment service now. Payment service IMPL. This will implement payment service. So for acceptance of cash, let's create a cash method. So payment method cash equals new cash. Then we have to call the initiate payment. So cash dot initiate payment, and we have to pass in the amount. So here it is. Same goes for credit card. So let's create payment method credit card, new credit card, and we have to pass in card number comma CVV. Now we want to initiate payment. So credit card dot initiate payment amount. Okay, great. Let's move to the main service now, which is the parking service. This will implement parking service. Of course, we'll have to implement all the methods. So every parking service will have a strategy, right? So I think we forgot to add strategy as a data member in the parking service. So let's add it. Strategy parking strategy. And then we can have constructor here of this for this service. Okay, here it is. Let's implement the entry function first. So the first step was to get the parking spot type from the vehicle. So parking spot enum equals vehicle dot get parking spot enum. This is first step. Then the next step was to fetch the parking spot. Now there could also be a scenario where parking spot is not there, right? Or all the parking spots are filled. In that case, we should raise an exception. So let's make few exceptions also already, so that let's have exceptions. We haven't added exceptions actually. Exceptions. Spot not found exception. This will extend exception class. Okay, let's just quickly have a constructor for this. Okay, great. Let's hop back to parking service. So like we said, there could be scenarios. So let's put it in a try catch block. Try first is let's fetch parking spot. Who will fetch this parking spot? Our strategy would fetch parking spot for us. So equals parking strategy dot find parking spot. We have to pass in the parking spot enum. Then what was the next step? Next step was updating parking spot. So if, of course, there could be scenario for multi-threading here. So parking spot dot is free. Let's synchronize it. Synchronized parking spot. Again, if parking spot dot is free, okay, dot set. Okay, this is one. Second is we have to remove it from free parking spots in the parking lot, right? And we forgot to have a data member parking lot here. So parking lot, and we can give it in the constructor. Parking lot equals parking lot dot get instance. So let's fetch the list of free parking spots and occupied parking spots for this particular enum which we have. I think we can fetch it outside the try block, right? So list parking spot, free parking spots equals parking lot dot get free parking spots dot get parking spot enum. Second, let's fetch occupied parking spots for this particular enum. Occupied. So first of all, let's remove this parking spot which we have from free parking spots. So free parking spots dot remove parking spot, and let's put it in occupied. So occupied parking spots dot add parking spot. Okay, let's create a ticket also, which we have to return to the person. So parking ticket equals new parking ticket. What do we have to pass? We have to pass in vehicle, and we have to pass in the parking spot. Great. Of course, we'll have to update the display service also. So let's update display board. So we will have to call display service, which will update the display board. So display service. So which means that our parking service will have instance of display service also. So let's just put it in here. Service. We should make display service also, or every service actually singleton, I feel. Yes, so that we have one instance of service all the time. So display service equals new display service ampl. Okay. So display service dot update. What do we have to pass? We have to pass parking spot enum comma change is -1, because one it's getting occupied, and now we can finally return parking ticket. Great. Okay, so we found parking spot from the parking strategy. What if we didn't find parking strategy? So we have to add a catch block here, okay, which can maybe return spot not found exception. So parking strategy will return us spot not found exception. So then we can throw this exception, spot not found exception. Otherwise return null. Why is it showing an issue here? Exception is never thrown in the corresponding try block. Okay, why is it not thrown? So we have to make it this. Okay, so we have added the catch clause also here. Okay, so if my supposedly two threads came till if block, which we have till here, and they found that this is not free anymore, we want to find a new spot for them. So that's why we're calling the entry again for them. Okay, great. Now I think we can comfortably move to exit. So for validation, this could be invalid ticket again. So let's make an invalid ticket exception. Let's quickly have constructor here. Okay. And this exit method can throw invalid ticket exception also. So first of all, let's check if the vehicle, if this is a valid ticket for the vehicle or not. If parking ticket dot get vehicle dot equals vehicle, then do the rest of the stuff. Otherwise, throw new invalid ticket exception. This is an invalid ticket. Okay, why is it showing an issue? Now the validation is done. What do we have to do now? We have to find the amount which the person has to pay. So first let's get the parking spot for which on which this vehicle was parked. So parking spot equals parking ticket dot get parking spot. Second, what would be the amount? So int amount equals parking spot dot get amount. Then final thing, we have to set it to free, right? So parking spot dot set free to true. Next, we have to add this parking spot at the right place, right? And this would be added by the strategy only, I feel. So let's first remove it from the occupied parking spots. Parking lot dot get occupied parking spots dot get. So what would be the parking spot enum? We have parking spot enum in the vehicle. So vehicle dot get parking spot enum. So we got the list now. So we need to remove this parking spot from this particular list of parking spots. Okay, here it is. Next, we need to add this parking spot at the right place also, no? We have talked about binary search, how we will put this spot at the right place in the free parking spots, right? For this, let's create a private function here. Let's not hodgepodge it. Let's create a private function here, which will add this to the right place. We'll call that function. Along with that, we need to update the display service also. So display service dot update with this parking spot, right? So vehicle dot get parking spot enum, comma change should be +1. Okay, great. We can return amount actually. We should tell what the amount is, right? So return amount, right? We should, yes, we should make exit return int, right? Now let's put it at the right place. So let's make that function. We can keep it private to this actually. So private void add parking spot in free list. What would be the list? We will get the list, right? So this should be list of parking spots, and the parking spot that we want to add is parking spot. Great. So I'm adding this parking spots at the front in this list, but I believe you guys can handle adding it using binary search at the right spot, at the right place, or at the right index. Okay, parking spots dot add parking spot, but you guys can handle binary search. Okay, let's call add. So which list do we want to add it to? We want to add it to parking lot dot get free parking spots dot get. Which list are we talking about? We're talking about list for this particular enum, right? And the next one should be which parking spot? So we want to add this parking spot. Okay, I believe this will work. Oh no, we have missed this. So let's quickly work on this. Let's fetch the list of parking spots for this particular parking spot enum. So list of parking spots equals parking lot dot get instance dot get free parking spots dot get parking spot enum. Okay, here's the list. Now if the size of this list is 0, which means there are no parking spots, which means we should return the exception of spot not found, right? So if parking spots dot size equals 0, then we should throw new spot not found exception saying message spot not found in nearest first strategy. Okay, here we are. Secondly, if the size is not 0, then we should return the first spot because that's the nearest one, right? So return parking spots dot get 0. Okay, let's quickly handle this. Add exception to the message signature. Great. Let's quickly implement the farthest first also. Okay, in farthest. Okay, and we have to return the last one, right? Parking spots dot size -1. Okay, we need to add exception to the method signature. Okay, so I believe we are pretty much done with everything now. We are done with all the methods.